Hola amigos, casi hemos completado el capítulo 1. We've almost completed chapter 1 y casi están listos para avanzar a cosas más difíciles en el capítulo 2. And you guys are just about ready to go ahead and move forward to some more difficult things in chapter 2. So the last thing I want to add in that's going to be really important and is not going to go anywhere as long as you're learning Spanish is the pronoun usted. And you guys heard me mention ustedes briefly in our adjectives practice in the last video. So in this video, I'm going to try and explain to you first what usted is and what it means. And then I'm going to try to show you where it goes as far as conjugation. And if time permits in this same video, I'm going to show you guys some examples of how we write with usted. One with usted, one with ustedes, one as a question, and one with our negative form of these verbs. If I can't fit it all into one video, then I'll cut the practice into a separate video as I've done in the past. So, vamos a empezar. Let's go ahead and get started. Aquí pueden ver las conjugaciones para ser y para to be in inglés. So we are starting out with our conjugations for ser in Spanish and to be in English. And so we want to remember that we have this broken down into first person, second person, third person, fourth person. We have vosotros for our fifth person in España and Spain and other places. And then our sixth person, ellos, ellas, los, and las. And so what I want to show you is that in Spanish, in the Spanish language, when we talk to someone formally, when we're trying to be proper or polite, we have a special pronoun that doesn't quite translate in English, okay? So right now, the ways that we know how to say you is our word tú. And this works if you're talking informally. This means to someone where you're not trying to show respect for their title or position, but more to a friend or family member when you're talking casually. And this works great. We take this word tú and we match it with eres, and we're able to say things like tú eres cómico. This means you are funny. But what if the person that you think is funny is the president or a congressman or the principal of your school or that very mean, very strict teacher that we may have? So what we want to do is figure out how we are respectful in class and in other situations where we've got to be a little more formal. So we have another word. This word is usted. Please excuse the students in the background. Usted translates good as you formal. This is what you hear most of the time, is you formally. But I like to think of it as you sir or you ma'am. And we use this very specifically in the Spanish 1 class. So as you get more advanced in Spanish, sometimes it may be a little trickier to choose. But in my class, I'm going to be really specific. And when I want you to use usted, it's going to say Mr. or Mrs. It's going to say sir or Madam President. It's going to be like the principal of the school or one of your teachers. So I'm not going to try and trick you into deciding whether it's formal or not. I just want to know, can you speak formally when it's time to do so? So the first thing we'll have to see is that when we're talking to someone and we choose this word usted, is that it doesn't conjugate like eres. We actually, when we talk formally, we have to address that person in the third person. So we're speaking directly to their title or directly to their position. Like when we say your honor or your majesty. In English, we wouldn't call the king by his first name. We talk to their honor, or to their majesty. And we don't call the judge by their first name. We talk to their honor. So what we have for that here is the word usted. And if I'm talking about usted, then I'm going to choose the verb es in the third person. So now that we've learned some Spanish and we know about male, female, singular, and plural, someone tell me, what would this word usted look like as a plural? Yes, this word would be ustedes. Ustedes would be this word. And ustedes would translate as y'all, or you all, or you guys, whatever you say where you're from. This is where we would use ustedes. Now, in Spain, we have a non-formal way to say this. Vosotros, we have the conjugation sois, But in the majority of the world, we're not going to split apart our y'all into formal and informal. We're going to say ustedes for y'all, my friends, and ustedes for y'all, congressmen and women. So let's take a look at how this will look in a sentence. Well, sorry, before I go ahead, where would this word ustedes fit in our conjugation chart since it's the plural of usted? Great job. We would put that word here, ustedes. Often in class when I'm typing or giving notes, many teachers, they're going to use usted, as an abbreviation for usted, and this as the abbreviation for ustedes. So let's see how this works in a sentence. Let's start first with a casual sentence where I would say something like, John, you are interesting. So now John could be the president or the judge. He could also be my friend or my student. But if I don't have anything to indicate that John is a president or a judge or someone where you need to speak formally, or it doesn't say speak formally, we're going to always assume that this word you is our normal, casual you, like tú eres. So in this sentence, we would say, Juan, tú eres interesante. But in English, there's no differentiation in between how I talk to John and how I talk to my teacher or someone else who demands my respect. So let's try now one like that. I would have to say, Mr. Williams, you are funny. So when we see Mr. Williams, we already see that this is someone who we're calling Mr. We're not calling this person by their first name. And this is one of the hints I'm going to give you besides physically saying the president or someone else's title like a judge or the principal or the head of school. This is where you will see that I want you to use usted and that hopefully most other teachers will want you to use usted too. So here I would say, Senor Williams, usted, and we see we're choosing usted as our subject, as the pronoun here. And which form of the verb matches it? Es cómico. Great job. Great job. Let's try one where it just says Mr. President. Mr. President, you are in Washington. You guys, this one should be a star, but we're going to go ahead and use this anyway. So I would say, Señor Presidente, usted es en Washington. And yes, it should say está. I understand my Spanish teachers, but right now we're only working with one verb, so we're going to stick with this verb for now. All right, let's take a look at how this will look in the plural form. I'm going to erase these away since you guys have already had some practice with it, and I'm going to put our plural ones down here now. So now we're not just talking to the president or to John or to Mr. Williams. We're going to have more than one person. So this you is going to become y'all. And we're going to take a look at how this looks differently in Spain versus in Latin America. Okay, so now I'm going to say Mr. Williams and Mrs. Johnson, y'all are nice. So here you see I have Mr. Williams and Mrs. Johnson. We see that I'm talking directly to them with y'all, and I'm choosing the adjective nice. So we have more than one person who's going to be formal. This would say Señora Williams y Señora Johnson. Ustedes son simpáticos. All right, let's try this in the non-formal way. So, if I were to say Peyton and Maggie, y'all are late. This would also be está. Let's change this. Y'all are my students. So here, they're my students. It's not formal, it's very clear. So here I'm going to say Kaden y Maggie, ustedes son mis alumnos. This is what we would have to say in the majority of the world when we don't have vosotros. But if you are Spanish or have studied in Spain or you're taking my class, then you will understand that there is a more relaxed way of saying this, and it would sound like Kaden y Maggie, vosotros sois mis alumnos. So since we've chosen vosotros, do we need to say vosotros? We don't. This is extra. We say vosotros to let us know that without vosotros, we could still know that we're choosing sois because it's the one that matches vosotros. There is an accent on this O. All right, we're going to try a question, and then that'll be it for today. So we're going to try and say, when are you lazy? And then we're going to change it to Mr. Calloway. When are you hardworking? So when are you lazy? There's nothing here to show us that we need to be speaking formal, so we're going to choose tú. Remember that our pattern was question word first, then our verb, and then the subject. So our question word for when, we need an upside down question mark. We need cuando, accent on the A. Eres perezoso. And there's an understood do here with an accent. Here is how ours would look if it's not formal. But here with Mr. Calloway, I would say, Mr. Calloway, Senor Calloway. Cuando, there's our question word. Es, why are we choosing es? Because we're talking about usted. Ambicioso usted. All right. One more. We're going to talk in the plural, and that will be it. We're going to try and say, why are y'all nice in class? So we need our question word, por qué, question mark before, accent on the E. Son simpáticos ustedes. What could we say in Spain? In Spain, this could look like ¿Por qué sois simpáticos? And this, understood, vosotros, would not be needed. You guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and write me and leave some comments on this video. I hope this was a good start at the practice. And remember that most of you all, you have an assignment to write 10 sentences, and this is a good way to practice. You want to use every form of ser. You want to use usted as your subject. You want to ask 2 questions. And that leaves you with 7 sentences, so you'll have 3 more to choose whether you need to practice on usted or ustedes or asking questions so you can improve. You guys, thank you for tuning in. This is the most of Chapter 1's content, so the last thing we have is a reading, and we're ready to start a new chapter. Adios.